Open up your wallets. It is stonk time on the Podcast Daily. That is Bill Landis, Jeremy Birmingham. I am Austin Ward. It is a hump day tradition to buy, sell, invest, hold, other stock words. That's what we're going to do. And who's going to go first? Coin flip. It's Bill.
I left my wallet in my backpack.
Uh-oh.
So I'm doing it on the honor system. That's okay with you?
Yeah.
You can just...
I think that's how they work.
Doing it
Anyway.
with Venmo.
Oh, Venmo. PayPal?
Crypto.
No crypto. Yeah, like offensive linemen are fresh on the mind. We talked to them on Tuesday. Josh Fryer, I will repeat, I guess, some of what I said on Snap Judgments. Like, I love very much the idea of him being this team's starting right tackle. I thought in the Indiana game last year, and I said this on Kings of Columbus with Doug, like I was watching that game and thinking ahead, like DeJuan Jones is going to be gone after this year. This is their guy. Like, he was awesome in that game. And granted, like, Indiana's not very good. Like, I understand that. But he just looked very comfortable, played incredibly well, pass blocking, run blocking, getting up to the second level. He can do everything you need him to do. And when they moved him to the left, I was like, I hope it works. And it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. And now he's back where I consider it to be his home. And I think he's going to be an excellent right tackle for this team. So I will gobble up all the stock you will give me on Josh Fryer, right tackle.
Okay. On the honor system.
On the honor system.
Two things. First of all, America did not really provide a good system for this game moving forward yet. It's only been a week, but I am expecting...
It's going to be much easier to track when there's actual game results.
Okay, fine. So, America, I need a rough draft of that pronto. B, I once worked with someone who, the way you just said, for granted, makes me think of someone who once said that she would say granite.
Oh, like The Rock?
Like, she'd take it for granite.
Yeah.
And she also said...
Does that mean she just thought it was rock solid?
Maybe. But she also said literally instead of literally, but then she said...
She sounds dumb.
She said the word literally so much that, like, it was unbearable because every time she said it, thinking it was a word that sounded, like, intelligent, she said it wrong and said literally.
She was just telling you she knew how to read.
It was crazy.
Very illiterately.
Yeah, so... Oh, my turn?
Uh-huh.
I just thought we were just talking about stuff.
We are.
In our lives.
That's what we do on the podcast.
I am going to, even though it's already probably a fairly high-priced stonk, I want more Tommy Eichenberg stonk.
A blue chip stonk.
Because
it's Apple.
I think it just has long-term solid value. And we've talked so much about all these moving parts on defense and the young guys that are making pushes like Kenyatta Jackson or CJ Hicks or Sonny Styles or like
Those are tips.
the one in the middle never changes. And there's not any discussion about anybody who is legitimately threatening that position or who has any sort of ability to push the defense further ahead than Tommy Eichenberg when he's going to be at his best. And healthy Tommy, leadership Tommy, we've seen him like he's actually like opening up a little bit around here. You see him like trying to get involved with things. Like I just think that he's a kid that is going to be an All-American this year, and I want those All-American stonks.
They're good ones to have.
Yeah, first-team All-American, Tommy Eichenberg. If he's not, I want everyone's ballot, and I'm coming for you one by one.
Wow.
I will find you.
I am...
the world.
Not again. That's a callback, though. I'm going to snap up some stonks on Carson Hinzman before I get priced out.
Smart.
I thought in spring, I said a lot. It's like, let's get Jacob James back into this mix. Let's see what that means for Ohio State. So many people talked about his experience, and Luke Whipple raved about, well, he's going to be the next man up. And I know that's not uncommon for players to talk about their teammates and guys that they have good relationships with. And generally, you assume that the more veteran player is going to emerge. But that hasn't quite transpired. And I think Carson Hinzman's athleticism and the way he's at least talking about the game resonates with me.
And the health.
Yeah, I don't know everything that's going on in their meeting room, obviously. But if that's the way he's talking and explaining to us, generally I take that to mean a good sign that he knows what's going on in the meeting room and then can dumb it down so that I understand it. And I appreciated that about him. Now, he seems to have some next level processing ability. And I said on Tuesday, by no means does that mean he's done and that Indiana's going to be flawless and the offense is going to roll right along with the new center. I think there'll probably be some speed bumps, but I also think that they are worth it to get through with Carson Hinzman, where maybe in a month or two ago when we would talk about that, I was more willing to err on the side of Jacob James when he came back healthy, and I no longer think that's probably the case.
I agree with that. Did we talk about Kenyatta Jackson the last time we did this?
He's been mentioned before. I think the stock is doing one of these.
That's a steady climber.
People can't stop talking about him. Like Justin Fry said his name like more than he said any other offensive lineman's name, which like caught my attention. And the players are talking about him too. I don't know what it's going to look like. It's probably somewhat dangerous to invest your hopes in Larry Johnson playing a younger player a ton of reps when there's more established defensive ends ahead of him. But Ryan Day said he looks like an NFL player. People can't stop saying his name. You look at him and he really looks the part. When we watch practice, he does not stop flashing. I kind of think he's going to lead the team in sacks this year, and maybe that is a dangerous road for me to go down, but I do feel that way. So even if I bought some last week, which I think might have happened, I would like to buy some more.
We can all agree that my conversation point from Roosters on Monday is Ohio State needs to find a way to have Jack, JT, Kenyatta, and Mike Hall on the field at the same time. It's not hard to do.
There are 11 positions, and that's not 11 guys, so they can do it.
That's 4 defensive linemen they play for.
What could they call a package like that?
I don't know, like the Rushman or something? That's probably the way I would do that. That is a dangerous foursome if you're out there.
Fearsome foursome.
Oh, I like that. I like alliteration. Whoa! This motorcycle's got a little house on it?
Wow.
I agree with Kenyatta Jackson pick, obviously. I think I've bought stock in him. We might have all bought stock last week, which is why there's so few to pick up. I have been putting off putting more hype into another freshman wide receiver.
$1,000 just falls out.
But it's time to start talking about Noah
How'd your
Rodgers.
money get in there?
It's time to start talking about
Noah Rodgers. Okay. Sorry. No more props.
I don't know if it's intentional by the media team here at Ohio State. I saw that as a joke last week, one of the defensive backs, I think it was Lathan Ransom maybe, or it was Denzel Burke, who after another video was posted by the media team of a wide receiver making a great catch, Denzel Burke posted, like, what is this, Zone 6 media? Like, saying, you guys only show the wide receiver clips. But every time they show anything, Noah Rodgers is making stupid, ridiculous catches. This is a futures stock. But if you had any concern about Noah Rodgers and making an adjustment from North Carolina high school football to Ohio State, like, put those to rest. Like, that dude is balling. When we've had a chance to be out here, every catch he makes seems to be of the spectacular variety. Mm-hmm. And I just think that he's a guy that you should look down the road. I don't know what's going to happen this year. Probably not. We're already pulling our hair out trying to figure out how they get Carnell Tate involved in the rotation this year. But Noah Rodgers, that is I'm buying low, but I'm going to sell that bad boy super high in 3 years when he's a first-round pick.
I gave you guys a little bit of a hard time for future prospecting pickups of Lincoln Kienholz, but you guys were ahead of the curve.
Shocker.
Think I got to have some. If Ohio State fans are of the mindset that they want a dual threat athlete at quarterback, and he's not going to be the starting quarterback this year, just to be clear, but if that's what you want, if that's what you envision, the best dual threat athlete on that field at quarterback is Lincoln Kienholz. And I don't know what it means for the future, but it's been fun to watch.
He's a more natural mover than Kyle McCord or Devin Brown.
I think that's what stood out to me, is that there's this notion that I don't buy into, that Devin Brown and Kyle McCord are completely different athletes and that they do different things. They are far, far more similar than they are dissimilar. Movement throws, and again, we don't see every full go scrimmage, so I don't know what it looks like when Devin Brown is scrambling in those situations, the plays that he's making. I think that those two guys can do the same things. Lincoln Kienholz can do things differently than those two. And he's got a long way to go in terms of learning an offense, getting comfortable here. It's only been 3-4 months. But, Berm, you and I both talked to him and some people at camps this summer. And the way that Cade Stover would talk about the way he played baseball and then the dunks that we saw, that's the dual threat athlete. So I only bring that up to just say, when we're having the conversation about the starting quarterback this year, you shouldn't view Devin Brown and Kyle McCord as doing completely different things, polar opposites. They're over here. But for the future, if you think that Ryan Day wants to go to a dual threat down the road, that would be the stock that you two already picked up.
South Dakota Slinger.
South Dakota Slinger.
South Dakota Speedster?
Not ready for that yet.
The fear from Pier. That doesn't make sense.
It is pronounced Pier. It's my turn.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Unless you were going to have a follow-up point.
No. I just think it's important that people realize that what Austin is saying, like, Devin Brown may outrun Kyle McCord on a 40-yard dash by a couple yards, or he might jump a couple inches higher, but like in the short space of the quarterback play, like I don't think that Devin's athleticism is so vastly different that it makes it look like two different types of quarterbacks back there. Whereas Lincoln, like, it kind of does.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to dump some stock, get rid of some stock, unload. On the idea of there being a, let's call it, significant uptick in the usage of two tight ends in this offense this year. And maybe that is me, as Byrne pointed out on Tuesday in the Snap Judgments, like Joe Royer was back out here practicing, which is an excellent development for the offense. When I heard that he wasn't, and like they were talking up G. Scott, like I still view G as more of a receiver than anything else. And that to me was like, oh, maybe they're not going to play two tight ends as much. But even though Joe was back on the practice field, I still, like, as we talk about these skill guys and all the running backs, like, they're going to have to find ways to get a lot of receivers and a lot of running backs on the field in a way that I think is just going to cut down a little bit on the usage of 12 personnel. You might see it used more than it was last year because it wasn't really used at all last year. But there was a time earlier in the offseason where I felt we might be getting back to the days of Jeremy Rucker and Luke Farrell and it being like 30% of the offense. And I think it's going to be more like half of that, like 15%, which I still think would be more than it was last year. But, so.
The Austin Ward plan is gone.
Well, it's more for you to grab now.
I want to pick it up. I can see it there. It's really, really attractive, but you're probably right.
If we're getting into like concepts now, yeah. I'm going to.
Well, you can do whatever you want.
No. Bill said we're doing concepts now.
Yeah.
I am buying into listening to the podcast daily on Tuesday morning with you guys. You mentioned that Urban Meyer used to want it 50-50, 250 yards, 250 passing. I'm buying that is the approach this year for Ohio State.
Ooh, a little balance.
Okay.
I think you're going to see a much more balanced offense. Bill, you're talking about the run game is going to be a bigger part of things. I don't know that it's even going to be more carries. I'm just expecting more explosives from the running back group, and I think you're going to see a much more balanced Ohio State offense this year. Let's go like somewhere in that 51 to 58% passing yards to 42 to 48% rushing yards.
That's a love the drill down.
We call that a drill down.
Yeah.
Zoinks.
Is that math right?
No.
I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, said 51 to 40 to 58 or 42 to 49. Meet you in the middle.
That's 101%.
That's not.
52 to 49?
No, 52. I didn't say 49 anything.
You flipped it.
I said
it's 50. Fine. We got you.
I said 51 to 58. Come on, man. I just think
we're listening.
Bottom line is I'm fully expecting Ohio State to be much more committed to
109% up. Got it.
Yeah. Sell now. I'm much more into the idea.
Are you buying or selling? Now I'm confused.
No, I'm telling people out there who just bought to sell because now it's at 109% of the value. So just
yield.
Get out there and believe that Ohio State is going to find balance in this offense this year. And some of that may be out of necessity because I think it's going to take a couple games for the wide receivers and the quarterbacks to get in sync with the offensive line. And I think you will see a much more consistent running game in the first part of the year. It's easier to do. And I think that you might see the offense evolve as the season goes along towards passing. But I think in the start of the year, you're going to see the Buckeyes run the heck out of the ball. And I think 250.
Sometimes you buy a stock just because you hope that it hits and you don't really think that it will. I would buy Brandon Ennis as the punt returner for this team because I think that is
wishful thinking stock.
Best option for Ohio State.
That's GameStop stock.
We're gonna make it happen. I watched a Netflix documentary that says you can make it happen just by sheer force of will. And I'm gonna hold it until Parker Fleming says, you know what, Brandon Ennis, it's your turn. I know that you can get through a season using a starting wide receiver as your punt returner, and it's going to be 10 or 15 more hits over the course of a year, and it may not be that big of a deal. The fact that Emeka Egbuka was still doing some of that while working through his shoulder injury may explain why it looked like an adventure for him fielding punts last year.
Or why he seemed to not want to catch the ball over the middle in the last 4 games of the year.
Yeah, that may be part of it. And maybe a fully healthy Emeka can change my mind. And by week 1, I'll be predicting that he takes a punt return back to the house against Indiana in bold peas.
Yeah,
maybe that'll
buy stock in that happening.
Maybe that'll happen.
Seems like, can I buy stock?
Yeah, go for it. Okay. It'll pay off. It'll yield.
This is another one of those situations where you have young players that you have to find some way to get on the field.
Yeah.
Like Brandon Innes is from Miami, Florida.
Okay.
Like,
that's a ways from here.
He made a decision to come to Ohio State when he had a lot of opportunity in the NIL marketplace to thrive. And this is a chance to say we have to find a way to utilize him, get him on the field, make sure he feels like he's part of the future one way or another, because it's hard to envision, much like Noah Rogers, how you get him in the field in the actual offense early and in meaningful reps. But if you can trust him to catch the punt, he's the guy that should be back there.
He's been in that group of 4 that in the practices we saw was fielding punts early. Now, that's not a live return, but I married that idea in my mind with the route and the post that he caught from Kyle McCord for the touchdown, and I thought, Eureka.
Mm-hmm.
Let him do it. Save the wear and tear on Emeka. Some of the adventurous returns that we saw.
Save the Buka.
Save the Book. And turn Innes.
Loose.
No, just turn Innes. Get it?
It's
like you're turning.
Inward.
Oh.
Yeah.
Didn't
They
work.
start with the same 2 letters. Don't they?
Not everyone's a home run, folks.
Nope. Sometimes you swing and you miss. That was this as we closed out a Wednesday Stonk Watch on the Podcast Daily. Thank you very much again for joining us. We have more coverage coming this week as training camp rolls along at Ohio State. We'll be back in the Woody later today, Wednesday. Stay tuned for that. That's Bill and Burr. I'm Austin. Talk to you later.